So Remdesivir was also known as Run, Death is Near, and it earned that name for a very good reason. And this is one of the keys to how the pandemic was pulled off, how it was made to look like there was a deadly, contagious pandemic going on. I would say there was an epidemic of malpractice and doctors murdering people, and this is how they did it. So your doctor during the pandemic was told that COVID-19 causes pneumonia. Run x-rays and check for pneumonia. Your doctor was also told by the National Kidney Foundation, as you can see here, the official advice on COVID-19 is that it causes kidney failure. So your doctor thinks that if you get COVID, you will develop pneumonia and you will develop acute kidney injury, which is another way of saying kidney failure without the chronic portion. So it's acute. It comes on in a short period of time. That is what your doctor thought the disease process of COVID-19 was going to do without any sort of intervention. In my hospital, the protocol miraculously had an informed consent part. They had 2 consults had to be done. A renal doctor and an internal medicine physician had to see the patient. They had to screen the patient for kidney conditions because they knew that remdesivir could cause kidney damage. They said damage, not failure in the documentation, but this is all in your medical record on the permission form saying they know that it can cause kidney damage. And so they screen patients. If patients had poor kidney function to begin with, they would be disqualified. If they thought that the kidneys could withstand the drug, they told the patient, we will monitor kidney function. And if your kidney function drops while you're being infused with this drug, we will pull the drug and that will be that. Well, as they gave remdesivir and it caused acute kidney injury, the kidneys are responsible for maintaining fluid balance in the body, cleaning the blood, but also maintaining fluid balance. So when your kidneys begin to fail and you can't urinate, the fluid backs up. It tends to back up in the abdomen first. That's the first place doctors are going to look for that fluid. It's called ascites generally. And it can sometimes get up into the chest cavity. It can go through the diaphragm and get into the chest cavity. When that happens, you can see this chest x-ray on the right-hand side, which shows pulmonary edema. This is a chest x-ray of someone who is diagnosed with pulmonary edema, which is liquid that has been pushed into the chest cavity area. COVID-19 pneumonia is on the left-hand side, and you can see it looks almost identical. So this is how physicians thought that everything that they were doing was just trying to treat the disease process, which was COVID-19, which causes kidney failure and leads to pneumonia, and then they would put you on a ventilator when you developed pneumonia and finish you off. This is how your doctor thought that nothing that they were doing was causing this. This was just the disease process of COVID-19. However, remdesivir led itself into other organ failure and COVID pneumonia, which then qualified patients to be put on ventilators, who were then given a deadly concoction of more drugs, which further shut down their system, and it was a death sentence that very few people escaped from. And this is an infographic by another previous guest on this podcast, John Bowden, the author of The Real CDC. This is the best infographic on how the hospital protocols actually worked out and the timing, which I find really interesting, especially after we've gone over the timing of that bonus of the remdesivir new tech thing that happened August 1st of 2020. So I'd like to draw your attention to the timing of this. You can see there's a big dark red line at the end of 2020, and that is when the line starts to go up of increased acute kidney injury excess deaths. So another important piece of information a lot of people are not aware of, acute kidney injury happens in hospitals quite frequently. That's why this is already not at zero, and it didn't just go up in 2020. It's very common for them to give you drugs that will shut down your kidneys while in the hospital. These are some serious drugs that they give you while you're in there. But at the end of 2020, you can see that it began to slightly tick up, and that coincided with the new tech bonus, which was rolled out. So I believe in 2020, at the very beginning, when it was a ghost town and we didn't have that many cases, then we begin to open up society and everyone's required to mask everywhere, which made them sicker. That's about the time that the new tech bonus was rolled out. That's about the time that acute kidney injury excess deaths began to go up. And then in 2021, when the vaccine was rolled out, you see that number just goes exponential and it gets out of control. And that coincided, coincidence isn't causation here, but that coincided with the vaccine that came out in 2021. And as the movie Vax 3, Authorized to Kill, points out, patients that were unvaccinated were being discriminated against, and they were being targeted for these protocols. So I find that piece of information to be important to consider this information in the graph as well.